Hi, this is Joel Carlson with Faces of Minnesota. Today my guest is Schara. She is a host on Minnesota Bound, Fox Sports North, Fox Net, NBC Sports, and on the Outdoor channel, as well as doing some work for the Minnesota Wild. So we're happy to have her as a guest. So the first question for Laura is this. Growing up with a father who is well known for being involved with work in the outdoors, how did you get interested in fashion?
All right, Joel, so you're wondering how I got involved in fashion, growing up in a household with a dad that's so into the outdoors. Well, I can tell you that my mother is a total city girl. Okay. And she was a fashionista growing up, and my parents are somewhat complete polar opposites when it comes to outdoors in the world of fashion. So I spent a lot of time in her closet wearing her clothes all throughout high school. And when I got into college, I ended up having a degree in fashion merchandising and went to work for Marshall Field's or Dayton Hudson Corporation, which is now Macy's Inc. And I produce fashion shows for the company, as well as I'm a trend correspondent nationally, doing lots of television and media on fashion trends.
Okay. So even with your current career path, do you still enjoy hunting or fishing yourself?
You know what, I do. Growing up with, again, a dad that's so into the outdoors, I was really a tomboy growing up and spent a lot of time with my dad fishing. So I'm probably more of his fishing partner than I am his hunting partner. I have a sister, Simone, who is really into hunting and spends a lot of time doing that with him, so we kind of separate our time with our dad. But yes, I totally enjoy being in the outdoors. I think it's a really grounding place to be, and it's a total opposite world of the high-paced fashion world, so I enjoy spending time in a fishing boat.
It's a change of pace, that's for sure.
Total change of pace. One day I could be in New York City during Fashion Week. The next day I could be hanging out in a fishing boat with my dad, and there's no better two places I'd rather be.
Very nice. Now, once you found what your interest was in fashion, what steps did you take to make it a part of your career?
You know, I had some internships right out of college with Marshall Field's Corporation, and I spent some time with the fashion production team working on a show, a charity event called Macy's Glamorama, or back then it was Marshall Field's Glamorama, and I loved it. I loved the fast-paced energy of the fashion world, and when you're doing live runway events, there's nothing more stressful out there, I don't think, but it can be really fun at the same time, and when it's all over, you kind of say, whew, we made it. But it's a fun world to be in, and so I just worked my way up and spent a lot of time, going through the paces to get to where I wanted to be, and then I started doing television media for the company due to my experience with some segments on Minnesota Bound.
Very nice. Now, how did you get your first start then doing television work?
My first start was, I actually approached my dad with the idea myself, and I kind of gave him a little business proposal, and I wanted to do a segment on Minnesota Bound that was called Wild in the City, and it was about things you can do in the outdoors right in the Minneapolis or St. Paul metro area. And I was on a volunteer basis. I was hired voluntarily, and he said I had to prove myself to see if I had what it takes to be on TV, and it just kind of took off from there. I really enjoyed doing little segments, and here I am, how many years later, doing TV almost full time.
Cool. So your dad didn't really push you or encourage you to do it. It was totally on your own merit. And
it was my idea, and he had never pushed my sister or myself to really go in any direction. He wanted us to be in something we loved, and to him, his advice is always be true to yourself and really do something that you really love and enjoy, because it's more important than any sort of dollar amount you would ever earn is making sure you're doing something you love.
Cool. Okay. So you now work with Macy's. What size area basically do you cover? You originally obviously had worked with Macy's North, but what area do you cover in working with Macy's, and what is your role with them?
Well, my role with Macy's is I am a fashion correspondent, trend expert with the company. So I travel the country doing television and media broadcasts for the company on fashion trends. So I just spent some time out in LA working with NBC and the TV show The Voice, and I did some behind-the-scenes interviews with all the contestants in the wardrobe closet, which was really fun. I've also hosted a big event in Chicago for Fashion Night Out last fall, doing a live segment that was aired on the internet streaming across the country. So that role has definitely grown, and I also produce fashion shows for the company across the country, and I have one coming up at the beginning of May, a big show in New York City where I'll be putting together all the clothes and the models, and it's a really big show that Macy's is doing right in their flagship store at Herald Square.
So do you go out and go through like catalogs to find models? I mean, what's involved with all the work in preparing?
Oh, the process of finding models. I can first tell you that I have a lot of volunteers that would like to come with me when I do all my model castings.
I bet.
Mainly men, oddly enough. But model castings, I travel the country going to different cities, and I usually contact model agencies in each of those cities, and I'll set up a time where they'll bring in certain models of that I'm looking for, because I'm looking for runways. There's certain height requirements, there's certain size requirements, and I spend a lot of time watching people walk.